I wanted to start out actually asking about your mom because I read that she was a poet and very funny. That she had some funny poetry.
She was a poet. She wrote. My brother's here. Mom was not the funny one, was she? No.
No,
Yeah,
your
she
dad
was
is.
not funny. Mom had she suffered from an irony deficiency.
Yes.
No, she was lovely and she would laugh, but I didn't think of her as like Don Rickles funny. You know?
Yeah, I got it right away.
Yeah.
You made your point right away. It was good. It was good. Who was Quaker?
Who was Quaker? My parents
Yeah.
became Quakers before I was born. So they decided to become Quakers. My mom, all she wanted in her obituary was proud atheist, which I loved. But she didn't like the bells and smells of any kind. She didn't like... Quakers don't have any intermediary between whatever that is and your experience. And she liked that. And I think two major attractions were nonviolence and no guy telling her what to think.
And what were you like? Do you feel like your political activism comes from growing
Why are
up
you
with
asking
this?
me this question?
I just want to know.
Got it. No. That's a Montana joke.
He's just waiting to body slam me.
No, sorry.
Take me down.
Why are you asking? No, what were you saying? Yeah, break them.
They're pretty expensive. I'm not going to break these.
Okay.
What
What were you saying?
Just your political activism. I was curious, like where you feel like. I assume that came pretty early on.
It was certainly part of being raised as a Quaker. My brother, who is here tonight, politics were vivid in our home. I'm very proud of him. He was a conscientious objector, which was a very brave thing to do in the Vietnam War. And so I guess there was a sense of the consequences of politics being very present.
And you started theater really, really young. We have a couple of photos from a play early. I think these may be. I mean, they may have been recent.
It's like a creepy rapist or something.
You can thank your publicists. But it does have that kind of feel. We gotta get you a white
This is my
band.
6th grade play.
We gotta get you a white band.
That's Teddy Roosevelt, Arsenic and Old Lace.
So cute.
Yeah.
How old were you in that?
That was 7th grade. I did an anti-smoking skit in 6th grade with my dog, but this was the first.
Didn't you smoke in that sketch too?
No,
The anti-smoking one?
No, I did. No, not then. Although I was just telling somebody how weird. I played tennis in high school, and our coach, between singles and doubles, he'd give us cigarettes. Which is, thank God that doesn't happen anymore.
Ours used to tell us about his girlfriends. That's so interesting. Yeah. He would always tell us about, like, he had a big date that night. Like, he was a really big date.
It's not appropriate.
We had so many teachers who had relationships with students, and I was never picked. Okay, so this is a different play?
I'm striking another pose. I like the wallpaper, the fleur-de-lis there.
Yeah, it is very tasteful.
Yeah.
This is Wisconsin, right?
No, that was actually Pennsylvania. Born in
Okay.
Wisconsin, went to Pennsylvania,
Okay.
then back to Wisconsin.
Got it. And the hat is like out of Curious George.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the man with the yellow hat.
It's a pith helmet. It's a brave prop / costume choice.
Yeah, you committed.
Yeah.
I like it. I do like you putting your hand in the...
Yeah.
This is Teddy, not Theodore.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, these are terrific. So you started acting. Was is this the same brother who's closest to you in age? Because you have a
No,
Okay.
no. I have a weird family. I was just telling somebody this. My parents had 3 kids. It was, what is it, 9-year, decade break. My brother,
Wow.
the mistake, and I'm the mistake's friend. I'm like the playmate.
Did you feel like they rekindled? Like, did you feel it in the relationship where they?
Did I feel like my parents had a sexual spark?
Yeah.
Because I'll be totally honest. I actually felt like they kind of did, and which was weird for like older parents. My mom, who was this very sort of insistent, not totally irony deficient, assertive, feminist woman, but she would, like, my dad would come home and she'd like go take a bath, put on nylons, and
Nice.
yeah, and then they'd take a run at each other occasionally.
And is that what inspired you to move across the country to Wesleyan?
Yes. Yeah, it began to be uncomfortable. It was awkward.
I do like that. I mean, here you were doing plays all the way through school.
Yeah, like
And then
in
you went to
Wisconsin. Did you just mock the way I talked?
No.
Oh. In
Not yet.
Wisconsin, and then it never occurred to me to even think or say out loud that, oh, gee, I want to be an actor. It's not like you live in New York or LA, you know someone who does it. And it would be embarrassing and vain to say, yeah, I'm going to be an actor. I'm special. I'm going to be an actor. But I always loved doing plays.
And what was one of your favorite ones growing up, in addition to the cigarette ad and
You mean
like Annie Oakley? Was that a good one?
Annie Get Your Gun was fun.
Annie Get Your Gun was good.
Yeah.
I assume you weren't Annie.
No. And that's I think then a fake mustache probably.
What I love about this is that you are so flexible. So you were always that way? Like, that's amazing. That's a lot of height.
That's not that flexible. That's altitude, but not flexibility.
It's like
I
he's
feel like-
strong, Catie, not flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can also put your legs over your head. I've seen it.
Yes. It's true. That's true.
Like,
Whoa.
Whoa. Not so early.
Easy.
Not so early. The night is young.
Tough on the pants.
Yeah. But I was very impressed that someone who was already clearly loving acting decided to go to a liberal arts school that is certainly in no way, shape, or form known at that time as an acting school. I mean, this was the 1800s, so it was like a time they didn't have. A big
it was
acting program.
it was the 30s. Well, I didn't go because this is classy, by the way. The
Thank you.
fries.
I was trying to eat the fries, and then the song was over.
And the song was over. Yeah, I wanted to go to like a liberal arts school, but Wesleyan was great because there was this, and I think it exists to this day, this sort of odd. Nobody cared about the department's productions, but there was a lot of people generating stuff and doing stuff on their own.
Absolutely. There are.
Is it weird? Did it get
There are
weird?
a lot of Wesleyan grads in the audience. That's a lot of enthusiasm for a Wesleyan grad. So that was probably like 700 people. That was like the combined excitement that comes out.
By the way, when I was like the fight song, you knew the fight song?
I don't know it.
People I went
I'm
back
a
there
lover,
recently,
not a
and like
fighter.
people walk around singing the fight song. We
never
had a
did that.
love song, baby. We didn't have a fight song.
Yeah. I led Take Back the Night. You know, like we had like very like socially conscious. Now it's your kids are there now.
No, they're not.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know why you were so active in the alumni stuff. That's nice. You were doing it for thoughtful reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool.
Is it weird? It feels like it got weird.
Did it get weird?
No.
No, I think everyone's just listening very intently.
Confirmed.
I think people are really listening.
Staten Island's listening.
Staten Island is tuned in.
That's a great movie, Tal.
But so at Wesleyan, you did do theater?
Yes, I did a lot.
Was there anyone there that you worked with that you were excited to work with and
I was Billy Bibbit in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was fun. I love that.
And then, so you chose to go to Juilliard, I assume, just to make sure that you had a safety net of some kind.
Still at the end of school, I would not say out loud I wanted to be an actor, but I applied there and I got in, and then I went there.
It's an extraordinarily difficult school to get into.
Yeah, but that's weird. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. I mean,
I know people on both sides of the fence, right? That's those who got in and it changed their life, those who got in and they feel still to this day it destroyed their life.
Yeah, especially then, it was a very, very weird place. I was really glad I had gone to college first.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird in that building because you're with, yeah, and just the check would be great. Like at Juilliard, you have people like this. You have musicians, dancers, and there's this like mountain of technique that you have to master before we can even, before we can even begin to talk about whether or not you have talent, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, you know, I've seen dogs be good in movies.
Right. But those movies were edited. Those movies were edited.
But okay, even then, okay, so what about acting technique? Let's talk about like the technique.
I would imagine you get in your head a lot having all of these techniques. Like it would make, I feel like it's hard
I don't know any actor who's any good who is dogmatic about technique at all, and I think that schools of acting.
Daniel Day-Lewis?
He's not a school, he's an actual person.
Yeah, but he seems pretty dogmatic about his acting.
No, I don't think he's...
He's dogmatic. I assume he's dogmatic about cobbling also, because he's a cobbler also on the side.
He makes a fucking shoe, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Daniel Day-Lewis, when he was doing My Left Foot, he never broke character even during lunch, which is an intense level of... I mean, if you're eating with your feet at lunch, you're really into it. You know?
But I interrupted. You were saying that, like, if you're dogmatic, it...
I just think, like, schools of acting, they're like fundamentalist Christian sects. They're like, oh, you know, like, big scary world that I can't conceive, so it's like this.
Yeah.
And it's not true. It's more like, you know, there aren't schools of teaching writing. You know who pisses me off? David Mamet pisses me off. A, because he's got politically just makes me crazy.
Because he's right wing.
Yes. But even worse than that, he's got this like fucking dogmatic acting school.
And he's not an actor.
No, it would be like me having, you know, a dogmatic playwriting school.
Yeah.
It's insane. So fuck you, David.
I'm glad we cleared the air on that one. You're not the first woman to say that about David Mamet.
Yeah, what's that? There's a joke, like a homeless guy says to a rich guy passing by, do you know this? You know, can you give me a quarter? And the guy goes, neither a borrower nor a lender be. And the homeless guy goes, fuck your mother, David Mamet.
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
They got it. They knew.
Up.
They were with you. You want to do it again?
Yeah, I have a strong hatred of David Mamet. It's weird.
Yeah. I think this is a perfect
Unless
pivot.
he would want to cast me, you know.
So what is that like? You know, working for people who you don't love.
It's the Woody Allen quandary.
Yeah.
You know, it's
okay,
like
that's great. Let's go there. That's terrific. Because I grew up on him. I know I'm like one of millions of people who feel this way, but like as a comedian, like him and Bill Cosby were the greatest people to me as a kid. I have every word memorized, and then you grow up and you're like, oh. I mean, I wasn't picked in high school, but that's a different kind of thing. Like this is a different issue.
how do what do you morally do you work with someone who you find is morally bankrupt? Like,
Yeah.
where do you draw the line?
Yeah, like how
Is there a Gibson line, a Mel Gibson line, maybe?
Is there for you? I'm not offered anything, so it's easy for me to make these decisions, but you are.
Until he asks me, I will not work for him.
Okay, good. And
So
chemistry-wise, like when you're doing a scene with someone and there is no chemistry or you don't like them.
I always think, I hate the word chemistry because I feel like chemistry...
What's better? Sensuality. If you guys aren't feeling it. If you're not like your parent, you can't recreate.
What's the scene about? Am I like ordering coffee or...
Have you ever had to act with someone where you didn't feel like there was a connection of some kind that you were excited to be with that person? Have you ever had to act with someone where you actually just wanted to like either push them, you know, into oncoming traffic or yourself?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. Fair enough. Ladies and germs will be here all week.
No. Like they have these things like chemistry tests, in Hollywood.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. I thought you meant actual chemistry tests. I was so impressed.
Well, they're good, but can they do an isotope? No, that never comes up. No, but they have like chemistry tests where I've never had to do this because I'm always the guy in the movie you don't want to get laid.
That is not true. You were.
But West Wing was different. But in the movies, I'm like, don't fuck him.
Yeah, but that's because you were in Adventures in Babysitting. You were not nice, and the same with Revenge of the Nerds too. You were not a
Nerds in
nice...
Paradise. Finish the title. By the way, just tonight, my brother and I we went to the Starbucks, and this guy looks at me.
Riveting so far.
It's great. I'll take an intermission, and now I'm back. And the guy goes, "Billy Madison, you're in Billy Madison, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Yeah, I'm really good with faces." And I said, "Oh, well." Thank you. And then he's like, cool, man. Are you still acting? And I'm like, so that was like 20 minutes ago.
All right. We will segue because actually you're in so many things that I had to pick and choose what I was going to show. I think I would love to. It's a long clip from Transparent, so I'm going to have to cut you off after the phone call. But it's worth showing because I think coming from doing the West... has anyone seen The West Wing? Okay, here. I think from playing these more macho men and obviously Revenge of the Nerds too. What was the full title?
Nerds in Paradise.
Awful. Okay, Nerds in Paradise.
Arguably better than the original.
Yes, it's like Godfather too.
I think they'll see that you obviously have a type, and clearly Jill Soloway was making sure that you stuck with that character.
Exploit that.
So we'll show some from Transparent, which is on Amazon.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
You look lovely. Hi.
Oh, that sounds like
I have dimes. You want to go first, baby?
You go.
Me?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of work, but
already targeted a couple of clients, so, you know, I think it'll be worth it. Kevin there? Hey, man. How you doing? Yeah, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, what? What? Let me guess, the coach didn't say a word, right? Yeah, it's because he's a douchebag. Don't tell your mother I said that. Look, you know what, buddy, you gotta man up, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you just can't take that crap. Yeah, okay, buddy. Love you, man. Bye.
What inspired you to take on the role?
It was an interesting work thing. I got asked to do. I was sort of proud of the fact that I was the only actor I knew who had never done any Law and Order thing, and then it was just made me stick out.
There's nothing smug about that comment.
There's nothing smug. No.
Law and Order is no Revenge of the Nerds.
No, it is. But and I didn't want to leave town, but I got asked to do an SVU, and Jeffrey was in it, and Jeffrey's just always been one of my favorite actors. Amazing combination of complexity, scary, funny, heartbreaking. And I was like, oh, my stuff is with him? Yeah, I'll do it. And we're shooting one day, and he goes, they're doing this streaming thing I did, which I don't even understand, but apparently they picked it up. This was right at the beginning of that, and I think he mentioned to Jill, would I be willing to do that? And it was fun. It's a very interesting character because he's a homophobic crossdresser, and there's a real. It's a long story I won't tell, but doing the research for this was really amazing.
What did you do for
well, I got in touch with a group, Crossdressers International, CDI, and I was like going to do the full Sean Penn, man. You know, I'm going to do this thing.
And bring like your photographer when you go to New Orleans.
Wow.
Sorry, I just feel like there was a flood. Let's focus on what's going on in Katrina.
Jesus.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I know he has a huge sense of humor and he'll be able to understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Just joking.
So you can just go to these meetings, but I realized it felt like they're private, and I didn't. So I said, I got in touch with him again. I said, look, I'm doing this thing. It's not a condescending thing about this. It's not a simplistic thing about it, and I would just love to be able to come. So I went to this very. It's like I was really nervous, and I've done weird things doing research. Like I've been in operating rooms and like been at the White House and done all this shit. And I'm outside this like sketchy apartment. Like I was really, really scared. And they let me in. And it was truly one of the most moving, interesting experiences I've ever had as an actor. Partially because I saw this. And they just get together once a week to do this wide range of human beings, Marines, businessmen. Some people are very put together and it's very porny, and other people just have like a fucking schmata on, and they're and nobody's getting drunk, nobody's trying to have sex, and they go out and they get pita, and then.
They go out and get pita?
Yeah, they got like, pita bread stuff.
Nothing on it, just pita?
No, and the stuff that goes with
falafel
pita.
and
Yeah,
hummus?
falafel. Yeah. It's not like they're fucked up. I mean, they're just. Anyway, it was very interesting, and I saw a wide range of experience. Usually research makes you kind of like get scared and like, oh shit, I gotta get this right in a very specific way, and being able to be with them in this very moving experience was kind of like, oh wow, especially for this character, I felt like it gave me a license. It was an interesting experience, but cross-dressers have a history of homophobia that flared up in the 90s when AIDS had come back, but like in the 30s, people thought the worst thing to be was gay. Like, oh, you just cross-dress. You know, this is a thing. Don't call me. So they would be really harsh, and it reared up again with paranoia about AIDS, which was interesting.
Yeah, I love the show, and she shows Weimar Germany, and which obviously led to such a sad and tragic circumstance. And
Amy Landecker, who plays Sarah, is here.
Who's in the show? Maybe we'll have her come on at the very end to show her face. But it is a frustrating show because it's so good and showing all the complexities of it, and I just I find it I really love it, except that it's hard to see a self-involved Jewish family and not wonder if it was actually written about mine. But no, it's a really, really, really beautiful show. And at the same time that you were doing this, you got to shoot a small indie film. And I don't know if you've done a bunch of horror films, but I don't see horror films, but I did see this one, and I screamed so loudly in the theater that everyone burst out laughing. But it's become I was about to say cult classic, except that it has billions of fans, so I don't know what to call that.
Yeah, I mean, that was an amazing experience. Obviously, there was no bigger Key and Peele fan. Like, I watched those sketches like people watch the Zapruder film. I'm like, I go over and over, and my son and I bonded over it. So I would say to my manager, who's also here tonight, I would say, just like I'll do a background pass in any sketch. And it never happened. And I knew, because I love them both as performers, and when I heard there was this Jordan Peele movie, I didn't have to read it. I was like, yes, you know, I'll do yard work, you know, for them. And then I read it, and it was one of these, like, forehead knockers of, Jesus, yeah, why hasn't somebody done this?
It was so. I watched the "I Am Not Your Negro," the James Baldwin documentary, which I also highly recommend, and then saw this, and I just felt like it was such a phenomenal pairing of looking at racism in our culture, in pop culture, and in our families, and even with well-intentioned people, to see how much it comes out.
I was up for "I'm Not Your Negro," but you know, they wanted to know.
It was close, though.
It was
close. It went to Sean Penn. I would love to show a clip from Get Out, if that's okay.
Sure.
What if you're like, no? That picture's so creepy.
I know what you're thinking.
What?
Come on, I get it. White family, black servants. It's a total cliche.
I wasn't gonna take you there.
Well, you didn't have to, believe me. No, we hired Georgina and Walter to help care for my parents. When they died, I couldn't bear to let them go. I mean, boy, I hate the way it looks.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
By the way, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. Best president in my lifetime, hands down.
I agree.
Yeah.
No acting.
Yeah, you were playing yourself.
Well, it's funny because I get that that's like really funny, kind of, you know, unintentionally, you know, condescending, awkward thing to say in the movie, but I say it to people like all the fucking time.
I feel like West Wing, and you can tell me if this is incorrect, but it felt like West Wing gave you this gravitas that you were able to take the political issues you cared about and meet with, you know, folks for the first time that you normally wouldn't be meeting with?
Yeah. I mean, it was a weird thing on many levels. It was like the best acting experience you could have, and then it was this, like, weird, like, you're meeting, like, presidents and stuff like that, which was astonishing and weird.
Any one in particular that stuck out?
I can tell a little Bill Clinton story.
Or you have to look here. You can't look at my eyes. You have to look down. Okay, tell the story.
Your eyes are gorgeous. We had this weird dinner after the election, before 9/11. I'll tell this really quickly. And Clinton, who, like, you know, just has to meet everybody, you know, loves to, like, hang out. Like, the first time we met him, it was the State of the Union, and he's just like, you know, brings down Buddy the dog, and he's just, you know, it's good work you guys are doing. And we're like, how's the speech? And he's like, well, we're not done yet. And you're like, well, why the fuck are you talking to actors? But he's obviously a social animal. As a rhino in heat is a social animal. So after he's out, it was before 9/11, he's flying back, we're shooting there, and we get a call from Joe Lockhart, who was his press guy, who's like, he's like, Clinton wants to have dinner with you guys. He's flying back, and he heard you're in town. Like, I hate it when somebody knocks on the door and he's, like, looking for people to, like, hang out with. Yeah. And we go to this restaurant, and it's like Martin, Janelle is there, and his staff. And he's just gotten off a plane, and he comes in, he sits between Janelle and me. And he's like, you want to split a calamari? Yes, sir. Yes, I do. And his staff, they're like, you sit next to him because he's just gonna fucking talk. I mean, like, they will, you know. But we're like fascinated. And he sits down and he goes, you know, if we could just take, you know, 1% of this ridiculous tax cut and put it into a fund, you know. And he's just like off. And, you know, for hours, and we're fascinated. After like 2 hours, Joe Lockhart's like, he's not even warmed up yet. You know, he's like, but we're fascinated. It's amazing, President of the United States. Everybody's left the restaurant. I go out to the car, and now it's a beige Suburban. He's not in the big thing anymore. There's one Secret Service guy with him. He's getting his picture taken with the guy in the restaurant. I'm talking to the Secret Service guy because I met him when we were shooting at the White House. So we're talking, and then Bill Clinton comes out of the restaurant, and he comes loping up the steps, and he's like, hey, man, that was good. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. And 2 restaurants over, the restaurant next to us is closed. 2 restaurants over, there's this scream. There's like, and these 2 Secret Service guys, like, I'm shaking his hand, and 2 Secret Service guys pull their fucking guns, and one stands in front of us, and the other one runs toward where somebody's screaming, and I'm holding his hand, and the guy screams again. It's like, and Clinton's got his hearing aid, and I'm like holding his hand behind this Secret Service guy, and he goes, "What'd he say?" And I'm like, you know, I don't know, sir. I don't know, sir. And then the Secret Service guy there is just standing, you know, like blocking. It's just a screamer. But I'm still behind the guy with the gun. And clear as a bell, the guy goes, "Monica!" And I'm holding his hand, looking into his eyes, and he goes, "Did you hear that?" And I go, "Sir, I think he said Attica." And he's like, "Yeah, I bet he did."